iHeart, get ready. Fantasy football is here. Welcome to the Scout Fantasy Show. ScoutFantasy.com is home to the Fantasy Football World Championships and the best players in the world. Real money winners giving their secrets to help you win. Now exclusively on iHeart. This is the Scout Fantasy Show with your host, the one, the only, Dr. Roto.
It's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards. Get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. We'll start digging for fantasy gold in a few seconds, but let's just recap last night's game. The Vikings beat the Giants, and I don't think the Giants were ever in this game. For as much as I watched it, it never seemed like the Giants could get anything started. Eli Manning, 25 for 45, 261 yards, no touchdowns, but more importantly, Odell Beckham Jr. Roto, 3 for 23. We've said this I don't know how many times. When you can't get your number one receiver involved, you're not winning any football games. Sterling Shepard Roto, 4 for 30. Bobby Rainey looked very good, 7 for 43. Victor Cruz, 5 for 40, was okay. Will Tye was respectable. But at the end of the day, if you can't get your receivers involved, you are not going to win football games consistently in the NFL. For a lot of people out there, Orleans Darkwa started for them, 12 carries, 48 yards, and a touchdown. And we did see Paul Perkins get some play time. But if you watch Paul Perkins at the end of that game, he doesn't know where he's standing. I mean, Eli Manning's getting to the line of scrimmage, and then he's telling Paul Perkins where to block. I mean, come on. You can't put a guy like that out there. You can't. And it's not that I don't like Paul Perkins, but it's like a deer in headlights. This guy you can't start Bambi. You need to have a guy out there who can protect your quarterback. Otherwise, your quarterback will not play. And then when the Giants go Ryan Nassib, it's all over. For Minnesota, Sam Bradford, 26 for 36, 262 yards and a touchdown. I don't think he was great, but he was good enough, right? Charles Johnson, 2 for 70. He was so open on that play where Trevin Wade got beat. I mean, beat badly. Kyle Rudolph, 5 for 55 and a touchdown. I told you Kyle Rudolph was going to score. The Giants do not cover tight ends well. They never have, and they haven't here. Stephon Diggs, 5 for 47. And Cordero Patterson, 5 for 38. It was interesting to see him play a little bit more. They went to him on some quick targets outside to get some yards, almost like a first down carry. I thought that was impressive there. Jerick McKinnon, 18 for 85 and a touchdown. We gave you him as well. So the only guy that we missed on for Minnesota was Stephon Diggs. I said the game was going to be, 23-20, 23, something like that, and it was pretty close. But the Vikings are a better team. So looking at this now moving forward into possibilities for who I could pick up on the waiver wire, pen click, right? Bobby Rainey. Now, Bobby Rainey is going to lose some playing time when Rashad Jennings returns. But I think he still showed enough. I saw enough there that I want to see more of Bobby Rainey. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, Paul Perkins, not ready. Bobby Rainey, very ready to play. I love the 7 catches. I love the 4 carries. I have no problem with him. For Minnesota, I think Cordero Patterson is an interesting player. I think he's finally being put in situations where they trust him a little bit. I'm not saying I'd spend more than $2 or $3 on him, but in a bye-week situation, I can live with it. Okay? We keep on forgetting the Thursday games. Let's go back here. I would think that if Jay Ajayi is somewhere on your out there, I would take him. For Cincinnati, look, LaFell, Boyd, they're going to lose targets big time when Tyler Eifert returns. I expect Tyler Eifert to return this week. So I don't see much fantasy gold on the waiver wire for the Bengals and or the Dolphins. For Indianapolis, there's one guy who's calling to me. He really is. He's saying, please pick me up, and that's Josh Ferguson. If he is somehow available in your league, I'll tell you this right now. At the end of the game, Gore wasn't on the field. Josh Ferguson was. The guy had 10 targets, which rivaled T.Y. Hilton. He was 7 for 33. Now, look, I don't think much of that, but there you go. It's a lot of points. It's 10 points in a fantasy league, in a PPR league. So you got to give Josh Ferguson a little love there. For Jacksonville, I brought this guy's name up last week. I'll bring it up again this week. Marquise Lee seems to be more involved in the offense than Allen Hurns. If he's available, once again, I don't think this is anything more than a reach, but I would throw a couple of dollars at Lee. Nothing crazy, really nothing crazy. For Tennessee, man, this is just a mess. Maybe Kendall Wright is available in your league, but with Marcus Mariota performing as poorly as he is, I'm not seeing a guy there that's like shouting out to me, Dr. Roto, pick me up. I'm just not. For Houston, I think Jalen Strong is interesting. If Braxton Miller's still out, Will Fuller is getting receptions. Ryan Griffin is doing well. But if DeAndre Hopkins still is non-existent, Jalen Strong may be a target. He got 6 targets last week. I would put him in the same vein as Cordell Patterson. Couple of bucks, nothing special. If I got him, great. If I didn't get him, that's okay too. Moving on in Cleveland and Washington, I think Andrew Hawkins and Ricardo Lewis, one of these guys is going to have to turn into the second receiver. I think it's going to be Ricardo Lewis, and Hawkins is going to be the slot guy. I really would like to see this team when they're playing from behind and what they do without Kessler with Josh McCown and know who the second guy is there. But I know I spent like $10 on Andrew Hawkins last week. That's what that guy's worth to me. He's like 5, 6, 7 points just so I don't get a 0. For Washington, there's nobody out there who's really shouting out to me, pick him up. Maybe Chris Thompson, but I'm sure he's probably gone in most leagues at this point, so I don't see a play there. For Seattle, I'm not buying Tanner McAvoy, but I'll just say this to you. If you own Doug Baldwin or if you own Tyler Lockett, I wouldn't mind having some shares of Jermaine Kearse or Paul Richardson. And I'm talking $1, right? I'm talking $1. But I'm talking like if I have Baldwin and Baldwin gets hurt, I think you're going to see Richardson or Kearse play. So I think it's just one of those clever moves that you can do like I did with Seth Roberts at the beginning of the year. When I took Michael Crabtree, I just covered him with Seth Roberts. And I think it looking like a smart move. You know, the wide receiver handcuff, if you will, in deeper leagues. For the Jets, Bilal Powell is starting to get more play time. He had 6 receptions. He had 4 carries. So if somebody in your league dropped him, he's certainly a guy to pick up. Sharon Peake had 3 targets. Robbie Anderson had 6 targets. I think both these guys are worth your attention. Somebody's going to have to emerge into a third receiver. I think a lot of people will be on Robbie Anderson, but I might tell you Peake might be a little bit better. I don't think the world of either of them, but with Eric Decker, a mess, and I'm saying a mess right now, you know, look, one of these guys may be the de facto third receiver. Okay? All right, moving on to Buffalo and New England. Now, look, I need you guys to totally relax about New England. Tom Brady's back. Julian Edelman will be fine. Chris Hogan will be fine. Gronkowski will be fine. James White will be fine. Just relax, okay? Good things are going to start very soon in New England, at least for the next 4 or 5 weeks. For Buffalo, Charles Clay played pretty well. If somebody dropped him, he might be interesting. Robert Woods certainly is worth your attention if somebody dropped him in your league. Carolina and Atlanta, I don't know. I mean, Philly Brown has been out there a little bit recently. I like him more than Ted Ginn Jr., so Funchess really hasn't played very well for me. So I guess I might take a flyer on Corey Brown. I certainly would like Fozzie Whitaker out there. I mean, he had 9 receptions on 9 targets, so you know that they were looking for Fozzie. For Atlanta, I don't see it right now. I'm not really happy. Outside of Julio Jones, Taylor Gabriel, it's been a couple of weeks. Let me see what Taylor Gabriel's done. He's actually had a couple of receptions. And, yeah, so against Oakland, he had 2 receptions. New Orleans, he had 2. Carolina had 3. I guess he's the legitimate third receiver there. I know Justin Hardy, and I like Justin Hardy, but where was Justin Hardy? I don't know what's going on there. So maybe Taylor Gabriel's somebody that I would look at if I was such in desperate need of another receiver. For Oakland, I think the name is clearly Seth Roberts. Seth Roberts had 3 receptions on 3 targets and a touchdown, and he's the guy to back up the guys, right? He's the guy behind the guy. So he's interesting. I don't like any of the running backs. They're really annoying me there. Washington with like 5, 6 carries. Murray 6, 7 carries. It's just a problem. I think Terrence West, here you go on that one. I like Kenneth Dixon. You know I like Kenneth Dixon. But as they phase Dixon in, West might be interesting for the next week or 2 to have him there just as they figure out how much time Dixon's going to get. Kyle Juszczyk, that guy's another guy who gets he's a fullback. You know, Joe Flacco goes to him. If you need a running back, there's worse guys to get, I would think. Brashad Perriman is still available, but I think you're going to see Buck Allen play a little bit more too. So if somebody dropped Buck Allen, I could be on him. I'm not on Kamar Aiken. I think there's way too many guys. I cut him in a league recently, and I don't feel badly about that at all. Chicago and Detroit, we've got to see the status of Dwayne Washington. If Dwayne Washington is out for any length of time, Zach Zenner becomes an interesting pickup. And receiving-wise, they just pass it around there. Jones, Ebron, Bolden, Riddick, Tate. So nobody there that's calling out to me. But for Chicago, a guy who is Joik Bell. Jordan Howard is my guy. You know I'm in on Jordan Howard. But if he gets hurt, Joik Bell seems to be the logical replacement. He got three carries there. And with Jeremy Langford out and Kadeem Carey out, maybe it is Joik Bell. Eddie Royal had 7 targets last week. Is Kevin Wright 100% healthy? I'm not sure about that. I don't know this kid, Cameron Meredith. Let me click on him. I've never really seen him. He's a second season from Illinois State. He had 2 receptions on 3 targets and 4 and 5. So maybe he's the third receiver there if Kevin White is out. But if Cameron Meredith is the answer, then the question must be, how desperate are you in fantasy football? All right, Denver and Tampa. If I'm going to use the same theory here, if I own Demaryius Thomas or Emmanuel Sanders, I might put $1 on Jordan Norwood. Just saying. If one of those guys should get injured, I think Norwood is the logical replacement for them. So keep an eye there. For Tampa Bay, Cameron Brate probably went in all your leagues. I'm still in on Cameron Brate. If he's somehow out there and available in your league, now is absolutely the time to scoop him up. For Los Angeles Rams, Kenny Britt, Brian Quick, Lance Kendricks, 3 guys who I'm sure are available in your leagues. I think they're all worth your attention, especially Lance Kendricks. He seems to just get a few catches every week, and he's not good, but he doesn't suck. And you know, right now with all these guys getting injured, not sucking is equivalent to being good. For Arizona, I still am in on Jerron Brown, and I'm in a little bit on Andre Ellington, who's starting to get just a little bit more play time. So keep your eyes peeled there. Sometimes New Orleans, when teams go into bye weeks, I think they present a buying opportunity because people don't want to spend on guys because they're going to be out. But I'm okay with that. So I'm not spending on John Kuhn. Let me tell you that right now. I know he had 3 touchdowns, but that's just a bad money. But Brandon Coleman might be interesting. Michael Thomas, if he's out there. Certainly, looking on the other side of that game for San Diego, Dexter McCluster had 3 targets. He had a carry. Might look there. I certainly might look at Dontrell Inman, who had 11 targets. 11 targets for Dontrell Inman. That's a ton. I might look there too. A guy that I gave out last week was a guy named Bryce Butler. And I think without Dez Bryant there, Bryce Butler is legit. And I think Bryce Butler got 9 targets last week. He tied Witten for the most targets. Cole Beasley only had 4 targets. I think Butler may be one of the best plays out there. If he's, in high-stakes leagues, he's probably gone. But in your home league, you need a guy. I think you could do a whole lot worse than Bryce Butler. For San Francisco, looking at there, Sean Drone is playing, and I think he's a great backup to Carlos Hyde if you have Hyde. But I think the guy I'm looking at there is Garrett Selleck. I think Garrett Selleck is 5 catches, 5 targets, 79 yards, had a 29-yard catch. When I watched him play, I was very impressed. He looked pretty good. So if you're desperate for a tight end, I think that although Gabbert likes McDonald, I think Chip Kelly likes Selleck, and that seems to be the play there. Kansas City and Pittsburgh, look, now that Le'Veon Bell is back, I think that Pittsburgh's changed a little bit. But Darius Haywood-Bay, they are looking for a third receiver there. Sammy Coates looked very good. Antonio Brown's obviously the number 1. I don't think they're thrilled with Wheaton. I might take a shot on Haywood-Bay for $1 and see where that gets me. Kansas City's an interesting team there. Chris Conley had 6 catches. Albert Wilson had 5 catches. Tyreek Hill had 5 catches. Maybe one of these guys, if you need a player, look, bye weeks are coming up right now, and now we're looking at guys to stash in our team. Sometimes we need to be desperate. Also, the Eagles from last week, Dorial Green-Beckham, Nelson Aguilar, Wendell Smallwood if they didn't go last week. Sometimes we've got to find players who we can dig out and help us for a week. The bye weeks are now coming into play. Some weeks are going to be bad and some weeks are going to be really bad. Like as we move into weeks 9, 10, and 11, it could be very, very ugly there. So sometimes stashing a guy now is a good play to use him later. So let's bring up an interesting point here, okay? And this is coming up for me too in a bunch of my leagues. In a lot of leagues, I have Cairo Santos. And he's on bye this upcoming week. So the question is, do you cut Santos and pick up another kicker? Or, but Dr. Roto, I like Santos. Should I just hold him? Here's the answer to your question. It depends. If there's a guy in your team that you can cut and you feel like you want to hold on to Santos, then do that. But if there's nobody on your team you're dying to cut, then you got to cut Santos, pick up another kicker, and go get him back next week. Spend $5 and get him. Most people will spend $1 or $2 on a kicker. I mean, look, if Steven Gostkowski was dropped, then somebody might spend $20 or $30. But outside of Gostkowski, people are going to spend $2, $3, $4 on a kicker. You want Cairo Santos? Spend $7 next week, you'll get him. And if not, then you'll get somebody else. You'll stream kickers. So that's the move I'd say. It depends. If you really love him and you love his upside and you think he's going to be a really good player for you, then if you could drop a player, I'm just saying, I'm giving you an example, maybe Chris Conley, I don't know, whatever. But I'd rather just drop the kicker and just get another kicker next week. That seems to make the most sense to me. All right, so that was the waiver wire preview. Tomorrow we'll break down some specific players in the waiver wire and how much we should bid on them and how much they're going to go for. But right now it's time to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. I want to thank you guys for listening, and I want to thank you guys for being a part of the Scout Army. If you're not a part of the Scout Army, what I want you to do is go to scoutfantasy.com, promo code ROTO, that's ROTO. You pay for 1 month, you get 2 months for free. It's as simple as that. And we're going to try to make you a winner. I mean, Sean Childs was killing it. Calling the Bears victory, calling Pryor's touchdown. Scott Atkins was on fire this week. He gave you Julio Jones on our radio show, said it was his favorite play of the week. Do you think that would have helped you make money? Yes, I think it would have. So that's what we're trying to do at Scout Fantasy. So scoutfantasy.com. Remember the promo code is ROTO. That's ROTO. You pay for 1 month, you get 2 more for free. All right, guys, we're back for Waiver Wire Wednesday. Tomorrow. Enjoy your day, be well, and take care.
Thanks for listening to the Scout Fantasy Show. There's never been a better time to join the Scout Army. Visit scoutfantasy.com. Use the promo ROTO for 2 months free. And don't forget, fantasy players, please thumbs up the podcast on the iHeart app. See you next time. Go Scouts!